Okay, welcome everyone to the World Healing Session for April 15th, 2025. So we're going to cover a few topics, but begin with where the moon is right now. We're in the waning gibbous moon, and that is going to help us get rid of things we don't want. I got a few people in mind that have asked me for specific treatments, so I'm going to hold on to that, but um, you could think of anything you would like to release. It can be fatty tissue, it can be pain, it can be, headaches, it can be um, people in your life, it could be negativity, it could be, I'm trying to think of objects, it could be, yeah, you could have bugs in your house and you want to have those leave as well. Okay. So this kind of thing, you'll need to focus on what it is you would like to release. Now, I know you could do this through several different things, but just for this first listen, just do one. Just think of one thing. And then you could, save this, go to YouTube, or I'm on YouTube, Wix, Lurb and Retreat. I'm on X, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. You can find me everywhere and just save this video. And that way you'll be able to re-listen to it and you could do the second one that's on your list and then the third one, and the fourth one. Of course, it would be better if you do that consecutively while the moon is waning. The new moon is, let me just check and see when the new moon is, so that your new moon is on the 27th. So you've got, um, yeah, like 11 days, let's say, to do this. And then you could save it and use it in the waning moon in the subsequent months that come up. Okay. So this is what you want to release from your life. So just take a few moments. What's really, really important that we need to do, and as much as I do breathing, as much as I practice, I've been doing swimming and practicing different ways of breathing while I do my swimming. I practice doing the breathing for those deep divers where they hold their breath as long as possible and trying all kinds of things. And recently, I've been reading, his first name's Jefferson, and he talks about, if you need his, I guess we should have his name, yeah. Big shout out to, this guy is a lawyer in the United States, and he discusses how to talk less and argue less and just have a better conversation. Something, I can't remember the name of the book, but I'll actually find it right now because it's quite indicative of what we need to do here. So the next conversation, argue less, and his name is Jefferson Fisher. So if you would ever you'd like to refer to him, you can. Uh, really reading his book, it just applies so many techniques that I've used over the years, but really brings them to the forefront. So you could actually, I'm sure many of you have had any of these techniques, but when you start thinking about it, you start being able to speak properly. I was talking to a friend and thinking about sorry. We say sorry a lot. He was talking about how sorry degrades our own confidence. So if we apologize, and it's not really, an apology isn't needed, you could convert that to gratitude. So let's say you're late. Oh, sorry, I'm late. Sorry, I'm late. You can already feel that dynamic, that energy. I've talked about this many times. It's just a different approach, a different way of looking at it, a different energy that I'm bringing here, having read um, this man's book. And um, he just said, well, just replace it. You just replace it. So thinking about what you need to say. So instead of saying, I'm sorry I'm late, I'm sorry I'm late, thank you for waiting for me. Thank you for your time. Right? So it's just beautiful. So I thought, oh yeah, that's a really good thing to work with. So that's one of the things that I'd like to help release is our generally, because we're going to do a planetary release in relationship to our myofascial structure. So if you think of your myofascial structure, it's connected to the cerebellum, the inner cerebellum, which is mind, but it's also connected to the outer cerebellum, which is the coordination of our movement. Of course, it would be myofascial. It's also going to be bone. It's also going to be nerve impulses. Of course, it is. But there are a lot of belief systems that are linked to this. But what came to me this morning was to look at it in terms of global. So the global understanding of ourselves. It's a little bit reminiscent of the last sessions where we looked at the microcosm, macrocosm. Now, I maybe by the end of the session, I'll have a better understanding as to why this session wants to be done that way. I'm not exactly sure. I would have just kept it to me as an individual, you as individuals, experiencing the myofascial release uh, of this waning moon in consideration of the very thing that you want to release and the active memory to improve flexibility in the body, right? Because we're all aging. Every single one of us is aging. Now, you could be very, very young and nothing bothers you, but we're all aging. And that aging would be nice if we could keep the circulation and flexibility going on so that our bodies move. Now, this also brought up a lot of visuals for me, like cancers, like um, fatty tissue, the gut brain, trying to find a way. So there's a lot of talk out there about GLP-1 and tirzepatide, Ozempic, all these different products, and people are taking them. And, I just see so much contradictory information. Some of it says, you got to be careful. This is testing things. And other people are saying it completely changes your gut brain and you get a lot of healing. So let's do it here to allow that gut brain to improve, to also improve that myofascial connection. The other aspect was all of the scar tissue. So this is the major part of this session, is going through. So we're going to allow ourselves to scan the body. So just take a moment first to inhale, breathe in, hold the breath. We've done this before. Inhale again, hold, and just release very gently through your nose or through your mouth. And just notice what goes on in your body. I mean, I noticed right away my whole myofascial body starts to relax. But I can also detect by scanning, if you're not detecting it, what else is going on? What else is happening in the body? So there can be areas that are tight, there can be areas that have pain, there could be areas that are, filled with anxiety or filled with an emotion, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. So let's do it again. And this time you're going to inhale. This is actually Jefferson who did it this way, and I kind of liked it. So I thought, okay, let's try it. I might do it wrong, but I'll just go with intuition. You breathe in, close your eyes. Breathe in again. Open your eyes, scan, and exhale. And you'll just see where something's going on in your body, where your tension is. So now we're going to combine this. So that the very thing that you want to release with the area that you've experienced right this moment has something going on. Okay, that's what we're going to Interesting. I'm getting um, a bit of a panic. So I think that the comfort, yes. So the comfort of whatever problem each and every one of us has, which could be one or a multitude. Um, if we, well, I don't want to put it that way. It needs to be dealt with, but part of us doesn't want to deal with it. So we'll get anxious because we don't want to get rid of the issue, because the issue actually, well, it could detract us. It could tell us I don't want to actually take responsibility. Or from there, all of the changes that would have to occur if we actually let go of the problem. So we'll keep those things in mind. Yeah, we just keep them in mind. It's like, okay, there might be resistance. Please be very gentle with the resistance. There are a lot of dynamics that go on within us. There's no way to force these things out of us, and they're going to come out when they're going to come out. What is, you could say, well, that's a really easy answer, Tarianne, no, it's actually not an easy answer because there are so many variables that are going on in every single fraction of a nanosecond of your life. It's not just a blanket statement about you. There's so many things going on. That's why people come to people like me, because I'm reading these nanoseconds. I am a bit annoying as a human being in my um, personal life because everyone who's with me has me seeing all these details and they're like, would you just stop? Well, okay, yeah, but this seems to be what this body mind does. I don't identify with it. I don't care about it, but it's what it does. And sometimes I notice people are like, okay, she's just too much. Because I am intense when it comes to these details. So I try my best to pull back and maybe talk about something else. And then I say, oh, let's talk about this book I just read. And and I'm intense in that. And it's just intensity, intensity, intensity. Okay. All right. So I'm not saying that, this is a good thing to have or a bad thing. I'm just saying it's a thing, right? It's just a thing. We're all different. So this is, to me, why you would want to come to someone like me is to be able to see that. And um, the rest of the time, sometimes we just kind of whitewash over the experience. So yeah, everything is on, seems to me, is on a spectrum. So, some of us, there's a lot of healers that I'm watching right now, and we're on one end of the spectrum where we're going to see all these details, and then we're going to meet up with people who are in the other end of the spectrum who just see blankets. They just see, and I find that very difficult to contend with. This is what starts happening to me when someone's blanket. I'm like, oh. I see someone actually laughing right now, just like, oh yeah, yeah. It's just a blanket statement. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. This isn't a judgment or maybe a little bit of a discernment, but I do know the difference. Okay, so I feel bad for people like me. I don't know why I'm saying this. Is so weird. I feel bad for people like me because we're so intense and we're always seeing all these different things. And okay, it's good. It gives us a profession. It gives us the details that we can see. And then I look at the other end when someone's blanket and I go, gosh, they're so lucky they don't get to see all these things. They just get to go through life oblivious to what's going on and okay, everything's wonderful. And then there's the rest of us. But I feel bad for them when something goes wrong. Okay, so there's no, my point being, you can discern these differences, but we don't need to judge them. Okay, we need to make a judgment, meaning that's what this is like and that, but not judgmental like it's good or bad. It can be bad and it can be good to be any of these things and anything in the middle. Okay, so this is to help our our myofascial structure, be loose. And we get that loosening up. I can already feel it. Like I can feel it in my belly. I can feel it. I don't feel it in my back yet, but I can definitely feel this opening up. If I can experience my mind being able to expand and contract, not snap. Okay, somebody was talking about this, that when we have a viewpoint or something we're very used to, the grid of our brain snap to that viewpoint. And it's very, very hard for us to get out of it because we've just snapped into the viewpoint. It's like a snap grid, or I think you get what I mean. So we want the myofascial connection, we want the uh, cerebellum, and then the neuroplasticity of the brain to kind of go, wait a minute, I can have a little bit more control. You won't be able to all the time. Your brain is going to snap to what you're used to, right? If you're having a day and all of a sudden something goes in a different direction, you're gonna have that moment. It's like, it's gotta be done like this. I don't have time for this, or I don't have the wherewithal for this. Of course, right? These things happen. And we're gonna snap to what we're used to. That's my sense, is that would be because it's a survival mechanism. We couldn't just like be kind of totally flexible, because that wouldn't work. We wouldn't get anything done. It's like, okay, I don't feel like working, so I'll do something else, right? No, we can't do that. We have to have that structure and that flexibility. This is the energy and the experience that we need to bring to opening up. We're in the waning moon. Stuff falls up. So think of pulling a stretchy fabric that has a lot of confetti in it, and you opened it up and it has holes in it, the confetti would fall out. That's what we're doing. Oh, it's already, that analogy did something too. Oh, nice. Okay, good. So the confetti imagery. So whatever it is, like I need to go back to the beginning, whatever it is. So I know what mine is, and then I have 3 other people who asked me to help them out too. Okay, and breathe and scan and let go. And now we're just bringing in the macrocosm to the microcosm of expansion. And we want to shake out also those parts of the collective that influence us. Because don't forget that whole butterfly and Phuket idea. But no matter what, you're going to feel poverty, right? You're going to feel difficulties. It's a very difficult time for a lot of people on the planet. If you're not rich, it's hard for us. It's not like the olden days. So we need to have that ability to let go of things so we can work through whatever difficult times are around us. We don't want to have, I guess the best way to put it is the old mindset, and I'm going right into the cerebellum with that one. And we've got the next part, which is the gut brain. That's why I brought up the GLPs, the tirzepatides. These are our peptides. We want to optimize the gut brain's capacity to utilize peptides. Now, the neuropeptides are going to be coming from your hypothalamus. And if the hypothalamus is functioning really, really well, so we want to get an optimization going in there. If it's functioning really well, you're going to get the proper peptides. But remember, we've got so many things going on. The thing you can do at this point is find the correct diet, which I'm still seeking, but I try different things to see what the correct diet would be. Exercise, obviously, breathing, hydration, your vitamins and minerals. So those things are the things you can do on a daily basis. And breathing, I hope I mentioned that. All right. So now that I'm on the gut brain, thinking about food and exercise and The neuropeptides, I just heard a big gurgle in the belly. So that's really helping things out. Now, there's also a structural aspect um, to the fascia that's um, holding the structure of the gut brain, your viscera, right? All of that, it feels like it gets so stressed. So if the back is stressed, the viscera gets stressed, your organs get stressed. Yeah, I can really feel that stress. So we need to get that moving. So even if you're thin or you're got a belly or you don't, I mean, obviously it's better if you're thinner, but the belly is a thing that occurs, right? We can build up fat, we can build up bloating, we can build up inflammation, all that kind of stuff. So what we want to do is start getting it to move, because we're not used to it's not used to. That's the wrong word. Sorry that I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're not supposed to apologize so much, but yes. It's the influence of the collective that tends to download into the head brain, and the head brain starts redirecting a lot of focus from the gut brain. And there's also a collective, let's say, respect or, yeah, I don't want to, I didn't like respect so much. Yes, that can be, but I'm thinking more, we lean towards this thing has got to make more sense. This thing is the thing that we rely on. This thing is the thing that will direct things. And we've got that wrong. You we've got that in the complete inverted direction. It's got to be through the gut brain. And a lot of our decisions are made through the head, and they're usually linked to I don't want to make a mistake. And it's usually based on a prediction, a predictive, not that you can't predict. Of course, you can have a certain modicum of prediction in what you're going to do. You could predict whether you're going to go for a walk tomorrow. You can predict, um, certain things like whether a project you're doing is going to work out or not. You can predict certain things, um, and you can be a little bit off. You could be very off, or some predictions are just based on air, but usually we know the probabilities. So relying on the gut brain to make those predictions is helpful, but then it can be translated by the head brain. So that's opposite to what we usually do. The head brain starts going through it and never ever listens to the gut brain. So if you feel into this entire session is helping that connection. Now, all of a sudden, I felt that disconnect. And I would have told you 5 minutes ago, I'm not like that. I'm not that kind of person. But all of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute, there is a disconnect. There's a disconnect, and I don't know what that's doing, but it feels like that shouldn't be there. There's some disconnect going on, shouldn't be there. And whether it's me or it's the entire planet, I don't care. Because at some point it is one and the same. We are not just you have the experience that you're an individual and you will be different from everyone else. Yet at the same time, certain things don't matter because it's happening to everyone, and how we're going to experience that compassion and empathy for ourselves as well as others is going to be a very important aspect to communication. And if you don't care about communicating with others, that's fine, but your body needs to have communication going on within it. It needs to have, an open dialogue and a shut off dialogue. Where do we want to shut off? Well, I don't want my colon leaking poop into the rest of me. So it's got to shut off. That's a very important factor. It needs to have really good lining, and that lining needs to be strong. Of course it does. So our strength and our confidence is really, really important. And you don't want to degrade your confidence. So it's something to think about when you're noticing what your reactions are to the world. So, as many of you know, who've been with me for years, I've had done lots of work in what's called breakthrough, self-inquiry, different ways that I've been dealing with the belief system. So I started doing this when I was 15 years old, making lists and figuring out what I believed and, how those things were conflicting. And then in the interim, finding so many different ways to figure those things out so that I could communicate better. And yeah, I fail enormously. I can fail hugely. And part of that failure is directly related to this spectrum I was talking about before. So when you know a little bit more about yourself, you're going to be a little bit more able to face things and go, okay, do I want to be like that? If I want to be like that, that's fine. You want to be argumentative or whatever it is. But if you actually really want to have a conversation, you can look at yourself clearly. Yeah, there are a lot of people that won't be able to. A lot of people that just do not have the wherewithal to turn towards themselves to see how they look. And that again is another spectrum. Some people see themselves too much, and then the other end, but you could see yourself too much, but you could be seeing yourself through filters, which means you don't actually see yourself, you see only the filter. That filter can be positive or negative. You don't want that one. You want the one that is clear. So we're going to do a filter release. And then some people on the other end cannot look in. They can act as though they look in. They could, you might be with them and you notice their tears and you notice there's all kinds of stuff, but they're not really looking in. Again, no judgment. It's different people. We're all different. They don't have to have it. It's only when someone wakes up one day and says, hey, wait a minute, this is a problem. This is a big problem. Yeah. And that's when you want to start helping and supporting your gut brain, help this brain to have enough neuroplasticity, but also have the capacity to accept and reject. In females, that is the uterus. In males, I think it's more male is more able to say no or yes. Not all, but men tend to be less um, agreeable, right? It's a definite characteristic of females, that females are a lot more agreeable. All right, that's a lot that your gut brain and your brain need to sort through in this waning moon to help you release. So remember, you can rethink about this. You don't need to analyze it. Whatever's not for you doesn't have to be there for you. But what I'm going to do after this session is kind of feel into what are those filters? What are the things that I might think about myself that might just be a filter? Am I looking at something negatively? Am I looking at something positively within myself? I can still make a judgment that I didn't handle that conversation very well, but that's not a judgment about me personally, a very different thing. It's a judgment about something I'm doing. We can always make a judgment about that. You get the difference? Do we want that discernment to come through the gut brain? You're not going to critique you, but you can critique the behavior. You can critique, like if you're painting something and you look at it and go, well, that perspective's not very good, is it? And then you can go and ask somebody or try again and get that perspective in there, right? Then that we can do. And that is not a criticism of yourself. Now, all of this, please do it with yourself. Um, I'm not going to present today with the waning moon and the release of this that you have someone else There are moments when that is suitable. In this session, it is not suitable to have someone else give you the critique. We need the strength and the clarity to turn around, and then maybe next week, who knows, we'll be able to look at, hey, can I ask somebody what they think is my flaw? You could go do a personality test, like the Big Five personality test that Jordan Peterson has. That's a great one. I find that really helped me out a lot to see, where my weaknesses are, and why certain things are the way they are. And I keep using it to refer to. All right, so one last breath. And what you're going to do this time is take this breath, really feel into the moon is helping you. Release. And just breathe in, hold it a moment, breathe in, scan your body and see what's going on. Have areas changed? And as you exhale, you're going to feel whatever. Might be moving, might be changing, whatever it is. It's a very quick thing, so you can scan yourself at any time. You're not looking for a million things. You could just find one thing. It's just fine. And then you could use this session again to release. But remember, do it on the waning moon. If you ever use this session, it would be the waning moon. All right. Thank you, everyone. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe. It helps me out. And yeah, have a great day. Bye.